A pleasant good afternoon. Welcome to lunch break, and of course, we're coming to you live outside of the Architron Conference Center. My name is Christopher Jones, and amongst other things, we will be bringing you updates in terms of what is happening here at the National Assembly. As expected earlier today, there were several bills and motions that were brought before the House. Mind you, those bills and motions were here, which was brought initially by the APNU-AFC administration. And that refers to the Law Reform Bill and the Adoption Children Bill, amongst others, which include the High Purchase Bill and the Small Businesses Bill. All those bills, as I mentioned before, were introduced by the APNU-AFC administration. And as such, as it relates to the day and the debate and the presentation, none was had from the APNU-AFC. Because as we mentioned before, these very pieces of legislation, the bills, the motions, and so forth, would have already been brought to the National Assembly under the APNU-AFC administration. However, apart from the agenda which speaks to those pieces of legislation being passed in the National Assembly, it is expected that Irfan Ali is going to be coming to the National Assembly to address the Parliament's day. And of course, several members of Parliament, inclusive persons who have been terminated from various agencies across the country, with a total number of some 1,542 persons to date who have been terminated, want to ensure that they have their voice sung. So outside of the Architron Conference Center on the railway embankment, you have scores of people who have since converged with their placards and picket to raise their voices of their discontent with the administration. However, as we mentioned before, Guyana is now seeing what we refer to as a creeping dictatorship, in that those persons who have legitimate discontent and all they have with them is their placards to register their disapproval. The administration has set up scores of barriers. In fact, to get anywhere close to the Architron Conference Center, there is literally a gauntlet of police checkpoints at various points that not even the average Guyanese person can traverse anywhere close here. But nevertheless, the opposition parliamentarians will register their disgust for and on behalf of the people across the length and breadth of the country. We have some persons who were able to make it in closer to the Architron Conference Center. These women are part of the Community Infrastructure Development Program, SIP, out of the mining town of Linden. Scores of these persons have since been terminated. Some of them have not been able to sign back a contract. Mind you again, those 1,542 plus persons across the country that have since lost their jobs, as we mentioned constantly, these are person or the sole breadwinner of their respective family. They pay utility bills, whether it's GPL, GTT, they pay their mortgages, they pay their rent, and the list goes on. These persons have now been put on the breadline by an illegitimate administration. And here it is now that Irfan Ali is coming to the parliament to preach about the good and wellness of his admin. I have with me one of those persons from the Community Infrastructure Development Program out of the mining town of Linden. And she's going to share with me her experience that led her and some of her colleagues coming out here to the Architron Conference Center to register their disgust and dissatisfaction. Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
All right, so for the benefit of the viewers, just share with us the Community Infrastructure Development Program that yourself and your colleagues were part of, and what happened to it.
We were working with the SIP on the main and town council. And it's 5 years since Mr. Gridger become president. We got this job. Now, 5 year finish. And we work up to December. And after December, well, Christmas finish, time to work in January. Nobody hear nothing about coming out to work in January. We just upon we have to hold, we have to wait. Hold and wait. We can't hold and wait. We got bills, we aren't working anywhere, we ain't got no income coming nowhere. We're not working anywhere. I have bills to pay. What about my food bill? I have to eat when the day meet. I'm a credit, I'm a trust. I have to get money. I need to work. I can't thief. If I bend down and look at me, I could work. I'm a sharp, I could work. I can't do anything. You know? Then I look at me like this and I say, no. You can't give, you have to work. No, where the work is. We are still waiting on the work. We are out here because of that. We're feeling the pain. There's a lot of pain. I'm taking it on. I'm stressed in. Because I never stressed like this before. In the previous. I never stressed like this. I get job done. Now what happened now? Somebody is there. What happened to the job? We have to get something to do. Because like he was send us crazy.
All right, so that's just one of the persons, as I mentioned, from the Community Infrastructure Development Program that have since have not seen an income for the past several months now. And she is just part of a larger number of people, some 1,542 Guyanese who have since lost their jobs. As I mentioned to you before, the National Assembly, the world over, citizens of all walks of life take the opportunity when there is a sitting of the parliament to register their discontent. They come out, they hold placards and so forth. What we have here is what we're seeing happening across this country, in which the voices of the average people is being suppressed. Persons speak about a creeping dictatorship. We see something times more than that. As I mentioned before, if you could look across the way here, you see, if you look across the way here, you can see scores of police present, heavy police presence, and this is just immediately in front of the Architron Conference Center. I don't know if my cameraman could come all the way down the road there, but that is the Lilliandale Railway Embankment, which would lead you to Sheriff Street. There is literally about 3 or 4 police barriers or barricades before anyone will be able to get even close to this location. And that is what we talk about in terms of a creeping dictatorship. This is where the voices of the average Guyanese people are being suppressed. They're not allowed to picket, they're not allowed to demonstrate, they're not allowed to express their dissatisfaction. We go quickly to another person who is from the SIP program from Linden, and she's going to explain to us our challenges now, having not received an income for a number of months, and how it affects her and her family directly.
Hello, good day. I'm from Linden. I am one of SIP workers. We work with SIP for 5 years and we signed our contract up to December. We were supposed to be on in January month and they send out, mental council send out a circle that they get from Georgetown that we have to hold. Until now, we are getting no voice from no one and it's very hard, it's very rough. Because we are trying, and in our government, And this previous government, it's really, really, really bad for us because we are feeling it. We are feeling it inside because there is no job for us. 200 and something people, no job for us. And we cannot bear it like this anymore.
I'm from Linden. I work with it. I work with SIP. I'm from Linden. I work with SIP, and it's hard on us. We lose the job. I it's pay bills, and it's really very hard for us to go back to work in January. And they say they get no awards from Georgetown, and we gotta wait until the price. 5 years since I worked with them. What's that?
That's it. We're still live. As you can see, there's a lot of police barricade all over the place. You're seeing movements of protesters coming down this way, and there is going to be a serious protest out here. The opposition MPs are out here, and we have a lot of police presence out here. They have been refusing some ministers getting into the parliament. They have to protest. Yes, Christopher Jones, one more time.
Right, right. So as I mentioned before, those persons are from the SIP program, the Community Infrastructure Development Project in Linden. And as they mentioned to you, is that they too, like the 1,542 plus Guyanese people who have since been terminated, have no source of income. And as we mentioned today, that they took the opportunity to come outside of the Artichon Conference Center, where it is expected that Irfan Ali is supposed to be addressing the sitting here. So Guyanese of all walks of life took the opportunity to come and register their disgust and dissatisfaction. But again, we spoke about the creeping dictatorship, and here it is now playing out in full glory that not even the Guyanese citizens are allowed to come anywhere close to the Artichon Conference Center to register their disgust. We have never seen this large number of police present, heavy police present, literally at every crack, every corner that you can speak of. And when persons are saying that they're coming to picket or to demonstrate outside of the conference center, they are being restricted from doing that. And that is what we talk about in terms of a creeping dictatorship. Now, I want to quickly just bring to your attention, and of course, we have seen this pattern many times before. It is nothing new, in which when an exercise of this sort is happening, that you see the propaganda out of the PPP, they kick into high gear. And earlier today, a statement is circulated on social media, and it speaks to the opposition. Members of parliament have some nefarious plan. And quote the statement, it says here that it is alleged that Sherrod Duncan has a device, and they don't know what the device will be used for, but they call upon the Ghana Police Force to take all necessary steps and measures to protect the parliament and Irfan Ali and so forth. But this type of nonsense, this type of propaganda that we spoke about, this is what we have become the norm, once again in Guyana under the People's Progressive Party Civic. But despite the barriers and despite all of the blockade to prevent Guyanese from registering their disgust and dissatisfaction, some persons were able to make it into this space. And of course, if you can look along way up on one side and even further up, you have persons at various stages of the development. I think, yeah, and they have their placard, so they are registering their disgust and dissatisfaction. We will continue to bring you updated information. We'll ask the cameraman to continue to roll as we look and see what is unfolding outside of the National Assembly. Right? Right. So as I mentioned before, scores of persons came out to register their dissatisfaction. And of course, we're going to speak to another person who managed to make it in. And of course, she is here to register her disgust and dissatisfaction. Good afternoon to you, Manuel.
Good afternoon.
Right. Just so
I'm here in deep concern about the 100 and something person has been dismissed, and this government isn't doing anything to people in this country, not even to re-employ the persons. The 20, also the 24 person from the Bertram College. Why they closed down this college? For what reason? Underneath the APNUAFC, we were doing good. Underneath the APNUAFC and coming the PPP now, they ain't doing nothing for us. They ain't doing anything. That's why I'm here to support the opposition. I make it my duty to support the opposition. I'm really upset. Every day I'm disturbed about the way they're treating people in the ministries, in the public domain. I'm also upset about I seeing Mr. Edgel in Parliament as a young person. I see Mr. Edgel in Parliament mocking at comrades in Parliament. That's not good. Underneath the AP and UAFC, they never had nothing like that.
So
Right?
they're turning into a lawless.
It turned the
lawless,
Parliament has turned to a lawless place. Right? Parliament has turned to a lawless place. I saw Kwame McCoy got a gold ban mocking at what is his name? Patterson, showing it up in it. How all them things could be right going into Parliament and being like that. That's discriminating. And I feel I see underneath 23 years I growing and living in this country, the PPP have never done nothing. Nothing, and they still ain't doing nothing.
And I can see a placard has a big sign that public servants are now without jobs.
Yes.
Because of PPP vindictiveness.
Yeah, PPP victimization. The victimization in the power in this country is not nice. It's not nice, and they even got the police alongside of them that doing a lot of stupidness to people. And we really upset about what is going on in this country. This country had gone. We have to get them out. If we continue like this, we ain't heading nowhere.
All right, thank you. And these are the protesters here, a few of them, and there are a lot more coming. As you can see, they're all here, and it has their Guyanese youth need jobs, people plundering our economy, damaging our country. APNU created jobs, PPP created taken away jobs. As you can see, it's all happening here. These are the developments. These are the developments that are happening right now outside of the Artichon Conference Center, and it is a great, protest to protest against the atrocities of the PPP, the atrocities of Irfan Ali and his government. We have Foreign Minister Annette Ferguson here.
Oh, yes.
Minister, it's a sad day for Guyana again.
Indeed.
With more atrocities, more threats from this PPP government. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts since the People's Progressive Party civic came to government by illegitimate means and fraudulent means, It's very worrying. Why am I saying this? One, we noticed the 11.5 tons of cocaine that left this country for Belgium. We're still awaiting answers. After that, you had two murders in West Coast Bubis of those innocent young lives, Joel and Isaac. And Joel and Isaiah Henry, may their souls continue to rest in perfect peace and rise in glory. Still, the parents, the community cannot get a response. What else have we seen? Thousands of Afro-Guyanese, well qualified, who got masters, who got degrees, who got PhDs, right, were sent home unlawfully by this de facto illegitimate government called the People's Progressive Party Civic. What else have we seen? Public servants did not benefit from a salary increase for 2020. The elderly did not enjoy an increase in their pension for 2020. What else have we seen, Mr. Weeks? Just late last week, early into this week, the boy from Collins Public Service College was shut down, was closed. Why? Because the PPP don't want a qualified and a professional public service that will enable them to execute their jobs in a transparent and a fair way. So indeed, it is a sad day for Guyana. But him coming to address the National Assembly when we have major issues in this country that are yet to be resolved, that are yet to be addressed. Who are you coming to address? You have left out the main opposition party. You're not consulting with us. So what are you coming to say to us? That let us work together? Let us join hands together? No, you don't mean that. You're just speaking empty words. And I'm happy to see that many of the things that David Granger said, because we know prior to May 2015, Jack, do you ever address the National Assembly? No. You ever see Jay got addressing the National Assembly? Not as far as I can recall, because I was a very little person. But the point I am making here, Mr. Weeks, is that David Granger led the way. David Granger led the way. So many things that David Granger would have done, like coming to address the National Assembly, setting the agenda for the particular year. We see the copycats. They're good at that. They have no new initiative. All that they're doing is trumping up charges for carrying people before the courts and all manner of things. Are these things just? Are these things right? No. So, Mr. Weeks, indeed, it is a sad day for our beautiful nation, Guyana. And I hope Guyanese who are listening to me, whether home, regionally, internationally, I ask of you to contact your various family members and ask them to join hands with us together, because we are all in this thing together. We got to get rid of these people. They're no good for Guyana. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Let me show you something. So now this is strange. Now, I mentioned to you constantly before in terms of dictatorship. Now the police, the inspectors now apparently have been given instructions that the elected officials, the members of parliament, are restricted from walking with a placard, a piece of cardboard with non-offensive language, to walk in front of the Artichon Conference Center. And this is what we talk about. And we hope the international community and those diplomats and so forth are hearing us loud and clear, because we spoke about a creeping dictatorship. This is clear suppression of the voices of the people. Members of parliament, elected officials of Guyana, are not allowed to walk on the road, not to go into Artichon Conference Center, not allowed to walk on the road outside of the Artichon Conference Center with a placard. This is the first. So apparently the laws in Guyana has been changed. Irfan Ali has changed the law to suit his agenda, and therefore the average Guyanese now have no right to to express their legitimate discontent. That is a new one. So look at some of the placards here. And the placard speaks to the issues that confront the Guyanese people right now. Guyanese youths need jobs. That is a clear and direct statement to what is happening in terms of young people and their employment. We've read and saw that, for example, at the General Registrar Office, you have persons, young people who were terminated. You have in Linden, persons from the National Data Management Authority there, some 69 of them have been laid off. You have Region 6, those young community health workers, 69 of them have been laid off. In Region 3, the same number for the same community health workers have repeated itself. So these placards here, being held by the members of parliament and the public out here, is to register that legitimate discontent. Now we speak about a total of some 1,542 Guyanese who have since been terminated, lost from the places of employment. But here this afternoon, Irfan Ali is going to come to the parliament to tell us that, to speak about prosperity for all Guyanese, when under his watch, this sort of victimization, termination of people's income is happening on a daily basis. And now, the new trend, the Guyana police force, as we keep mentioning time and time before, that they are politically directed. This is a norm. This is what we are accustomed to. We've seen it before, that the Guyana police force takes specific instruction directly from the PPP. Now, the inspectors on the road are saying to the members of parliament, the elected officials of this country, that you are not allowed to walk on the road outside of the Artisan Conference Center with a placard in your hand. Apparently, that has now become an offense to the law in Guyana. We talk about a creeping dictatorship. We've seen it now in Guyana.
And I see Mr. Patterson is now going there with a placard.
That's right. You should go closer and let's see what will happen in terms of that.
So we're walking, the protesters are here. And there goes the inspectors. They're on the street.
Things are closed now? Huh? Things are closed now? Yeah. No, you can't.
There is the conference center. Got the inspector walking here.
So we're about to see what's going to happen here. You have Mr. David Patterson, an elected official of Guyana, a member of parliament, on the road outside of the Artisan Conference Center, and he's been directed and instructed that to walk with the placard is an offense to the law. We don't know which part of the law that speaks to, but we're about to find out what will happen. Because which law I'm
it is not, I would not say so. It is the law. So, right. This is a security report.
Great. So you tell me which law I'm breaking.
That is a security.
Yes, I know. So what does a security area mean? Right. For me, I'm not.
Well, that's general knowledge. No, it's not. It's not. Or that's general knowledge to you.
So you tell me, sir.
I just said that this is a security area, and that's general knowledge.
And what laws am I breaking?
I'm not saying you're against the law. But I said this is a security area for us.
Very good and very
that I would not appreciate.
You're gonna start off. You're gonna start off like caution actually. You're gonna start off like caution actually. You're going, you know what I mean, and then of course, then you can come to me and tell me what.
Well, I understand all of that. Right? I understand all of that. But I said it was security area.
Yeah, that's all right. I understand what you're telling me about.
I would not appreciate.
I know you want to appreciate it. I'm going to say. David, before you just a quick comment. David, just a quick comment. Because we're trying to get clarity here exactly in terms of the placard. The police, of course, could not provide you with an answer. So what is the offense?
No. In all fairness, he said he didn't set out there's any offense. He set out it's a secure area. But he said I can't pass the placard, and of course I think he was just being he got instructions.
Yeah,
but it's silly instructions.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Even still, because of it's like everybody here is watching the world over. Right? Here is an elected official of Guyana on the road, on the street with a placard. All you're being told that it's a secure area. But does the placard pose a threat to anyone?
He could not answer that.
Exactly.
Could not answer that. I don't think it's breaking
Exactly.
any law. But I mean, I mean, you have to sometimes empathize with them. They're trying to follow orders, but they're wrong, illegal. But you know, but in all things here, so it didn't stop. So I'm going that side. We have some other MPs over that side. We're doing the entrances, and let's see what happens.
All right. Okay, so there you have Mr. David Patterson. He literally just walked from one barricade over to the other end. And like I mentioned to you before, there seems to be some instructions given to the police that to walk with the placard or to be with a placard anywhere between this area is an offense. What offense? We don't know. The police is just telling us that this space between the two barriers are a secure area. We understand that. But the question that we are asking is whether or not the placards pose any threat to life and limb. We can't get an answer to that, save and accept that it is a secure area. So, Mr. Patterson, as you can see, went over to the other side because that's where some other members of parliament are currently with some members of the public who are registering their discontent. If you look over this way as well, there are some persons here who they came from one of the back streets, and of course they too are here to voice their discontent, dissatisfaction. It is, as I mentioned before, a secure area, so they're not allowed to go beyond the barriers here. But of course, these persons are here. Members of parliament are with them. And of course, we want to give them an opportunity to voice their discontent. Ladies, I don't say men, good afternoon. Just to register to us the reason for you being out here today.
The reason for us to be out here is to get back our jobs. I'm working with the SIP, and until now we ain't got nobody ain't saying anything, no contract and sign back. We got children, we got rent to mind, we get rent to pay, we get basically no money. What they want us to do on the same contract they're carrying the mines, and they give it to them and they're doing it. It starts Monday, and we left it out. We people left it out with this. We left it out. I think we all are one. It's 6 races in Guyana. All of us are one. And why you segregating yourself, segregating us? We need our job back. We're here for that.
I'm a SIP worker, and I'm talking on behalf of my fellow SIP workers. Since the 11th of December, we home. Until now, no contract can't sign back. We're not working. You got house rent to pay, you got light bill to pay, you got food to eat, you got a sick son. You go to the hospital for medication, they don't have, you gotta buy it. I'm working. If I get the money, how am I gonna buy medication for give my son? This is overbearing. It hurt him. Please, could somebody come out and tell me something? All we ain't single parents. And if we work, what we gonna do? We gonna thief. We want thief. All we want back. We want and raise the fare from the 23,000. Give me something. They say that somebody funding we. If they're funding me 25, the government could give me 25. We gonna stand up and give me back we want. I'm begging. Give me back we want.
Excellent. All right, we have some persons as well from the ambulance brigade. As you know, just recently, all of those persons would have been terminated from their places of employment. So they too have traveled from the mining town of Linden, and they're here to express their dissatisfaction. Good afternoon, ma'am. Tell us about your
Good
flight.
afternoon. We are here from the St. John Ambulance Brigade. We have been employed for a very long time there. And when we get the message that the contract won't be renewed, it was a very heartful thing, because for we, not majority, all of us are women with children, and our money is not big, our money is very little, but guess what? We try to utilize it to the best of our ability.
What was your income?
Our income is like about 44. Sometimes 42, sometimes 44, depends on how you work.
Yeah.
And we try to make sure that you do. And in order for we to do it, you take loan from the bank and to have a good Christmas and to make our family happy. That is how we do it. And to know that no, the contract won't be renewed, nothing. How we supposed to survive? Just like how the president, my excellent, grow up. He have a family. He grow up and he be in that chamber to add and subtract. We want our children to do the same thing. We want our children to do the same thing. So how in heaven's name, when that contract taken from us, what will we do? We have nowhere to go. So please.
They use two of our old staff, St. John staff. I was working there for a few years. Their certificate has been expired. They use those same persons to train these PCA people to do this program. How could they train these people? These people are not certified. They're not working with us anymore. To train these people to do this job. When you get people there over 16 and 5 and 15 years to do this job. 20, how much years? How is that possible? It is really injustice. We need justice. We need to find our job. This young lady was injured on the job, transporting a patient to church, to hospital, and meeting this calamity. Nobody reach out. We try to pull. We sub money. We do donation sheets. Everything that says this young woman. No one is there.
No one reach out to us.
We need justice.
We need justice.
Right. So tell us about why you're out here today. Good afternoon.
I'm here concerning my job. I'm from St. John Ambulance Brigade. They had sent the CEO to the hospital, and then he called our boss and said that he would not be signing back the contract. And he claiming that he gave the Mr. Van Gentrens this letter 1 month. But Mr. Van Gentrens never gave us the letter. In 2 weeks, he notified us. In 2 weeks. So that is really unfair to us. I'm a single parent. I have children to mind, bank to pay, ports to pay. Because like everybody else wants a nice house.
Just give us a second. One second. We have a little development here right now. We're having a development. The police is harassing Mr. Sherrod Duncan because he has a placard. I think they might want it to.
I'm a member of parliament. I'm a member of parliament, sir. I'm a member of parliament. I'm a member of the National Assembly. I'm a member of the National Assembly. I'm a member of the National Assembly in my own country. Cannot protest. I'm a member of the National Assembly in my own country, and I can't protest. Right? I'm a member of the National Assembly in my own country. I'm a member of the National Assembly. We become a police state. We can't protest. Member of Parliament. I'm a member of Parliament. That's who I am. A member of Parliament.
Please, you touch us.
That's what we are. You can't protest peacefully, hold up placard in your own country. That's what we've become. When the PPP were in Parliament with placards in the dome in 2017, shouting. Laws can't change like that.
Excuse me. The police needs to formally apologize to Mr. Sherrod Duncan. He is an elected member of parliament, and they chose to manhandle him, saying that he can't hold a placard. Well, I am begging someone of them to come and manhandle me, because this is complete nonsense. This is complete nonsense. We are elected members of the National Assembly. Are you telling us what? Look, the police know which left to jump on. We exercise our democratic right.
And that's what's happening out here.
That's what I'm going to do.
Here's Sherrod Duncan right here.
Fraud is fraud. That's what we are. Fraud is fraud. We cannot go in the National Assembly with a placard The people should be shamed to tell anybody different. Should be shamed. There should be a shame. Shame on the PPP. Shame on them. Shame on the PPP. They should be the last to talk, but not going in the National Assembly with a placard. Shame on them. Shame on them. Guyanese got to stand up for the right. We have a right. It's a shame.
We are not second-class citizens in this land. We are Guyanese, and we should be treated in the same way they want to be treated. They came into Parliament with placards, disrespected the legally elected president, and now they're telling us what? Nonsense.
I can't even come in the street, meaning the dorm, in the street.
We are paying tax.
And because Irfan coming here, you can't hold a placard in the street. What the hell with that? Iraq? Fraud.
Fraud is fraud.
Fraud is fraud.
Fraud is fraud.
Fraud is fraud. They make them come in. Bullshit.
And that's what's happening. Mr. Harmon is out here. We have the leader of the opposition right out here, Mr. Harmon. Yes. The world is watching as we speak.
Yes.
Your thoughts on what just happened?
Listen, a member of parliament has certain privileges and certain immunities. Yes. And they're within the cartilage of the parliament. Those rights and privileges have to be respected by anyone. This here is the cartilage. Wherever you see they set that barrier from, all of this here is the cartilage of the National Assembly. And we have certain rights and privileges exercising within this area. These are the rights that have been enshrined in the Constitution. And so you cannot now come and manhandle a member of parliament who is exercising his right to a freedom of expression. He's expressing a view that many Guyanese have, that this administration is sitting on a fraudulent administration. They're fraudulent. And so what is happening here today is an exercise of that democratic right by our members of parliament, who are saying that the 217,000 or more persons who voted for them to be here to represent them, that they need proper representation, that we will not be manhandled by anyone, by the police or anybody, and sit idly by and accept it. So I believe that Mr. Duncan is owed an apology by the Commissioner of Police for the manner in which he was treated by the member of parliament. Yes.
Yes, good. All right, so you just heard from Mr. Joseph Harmon, the opposition leader, as you see. He had to come in with members of parliament, and you saw on the camera in terms of Sheriff Duncan, Amanza Walton Nazir, even the opposition leader, there were attempts to block them from coming in with the placard. Remember I said to you before, is that the question was being asked of the police in terms of which law is being breached for a member of parliament, an elected official, to walk with a placard. It is not, is it that the placards are now seen as a weapon? Could a placard endanger the lives of anyone? And it comes back to what we said before in terms of a creeping dictatorship, is that the suppression of the views of people in Guyana is being suppressed. And that is what is happening in Guyana right now. And that is the dictatorship that we're talking about. That is the dictatorship that we're talking about.
Oh, Mr. Kemraj, you've seen all of this.
Yeah,
very shocking.
I am stunned. I am really, really stunned. And you know, when you compare that to the misbehavior of the PPP in the very first parliamentary session, I remember President Granger went to address Parliament some years ago. It is no comparison. They banged and drummed Your Excellency then. We are trying to be as peaceful in our picketing exercise and not to give what is to be regarded as legitimacy to air fraud. And here it is, They're handling and manhandling supporters. And I am really, really stunned about this kind of thing. We have a freedom to be peaceably assembled anywhere. And since we are parliamentarians, and Sherrod is also a parliamentarian, he has a right of speech in addition to the right of assembly. And you don't do that. But, you know, there is a deterioration that is happening here in Guyana in relation to this law and order business. And people must at least be allowed to state their minds and issues, and especially when they are members of the institution of parliament. I feel that it is totally rotten what has happened here this morning.
Thank you, sir. Chris?
Amanza Walter Desir. So Amanza Walter Desir is, as you know, one of the member of parliament and attorney at law, so she's quite okay with the law herself. So while attempting to come through with the placard as well, Amanza missed being physically restrained by the police as Sherrod Duncan and Jeremy Figueroa was. Amanza, your experience just a few minutes ago as an attorney at law, is it an offense for an elected official?
Look, I think the police know that it isn't. For me, I am generally a peace-loving person, but I think I lost it when I saw the police manhandle my colleague, Mr. Duncan.
Yeah.
How do you physically manhandle a parliamentarian in the precincts of the parliament? He has committed no crime. He simply had a placard in his hand. So I picked up my placard and dared them to manhandle me. Because I think the police understand that they're dealing with a very peculiar situation. Of course, they have orders to follow. But we as citizens have to insist on our constitutional rights being protected and being honored by the police. You're telling me I can't walk with a placard? Well, I'm saying to them, come and arrest me.
Very well.
Because look, there has to come a point in time when we decide enough is enough.
Yeah.
And for me, my enough came when I saw them manhandle. A colleague, Mr. Duncan, did nothing. He was not loud. He grabbed this placard and he was walking. 3 of them physically accosted him. What is that? And where are we going as a country? When you can, the Constitution says you have a right to peacefully protest. We are out here. We are protesting. We are not bothering a soul. And this is what the people of Guyana has to understand. We have to understand that this is how dictatorship begins.
Yes.
At some point, all of us have to stand up for our rights, because this is how it begins. They will come for us,
Yeah.
and then they will come for you. And when they do come for you, there will be nobody left to speak for you. Because the people who would have been represented, who would have been representing you, would have all been targeted and done away with. So I'm calling on all right-thinking Guyanese to say that enough is enough, because I have had enough. I want to leave to our children a Guyana that they can be proud of. What does the PPP think? That Guyana belongs to them and their supporters alone? Well, I am confident that the people of Guyana will show them otherwise. They are going to show them otherwise, because enough is more than enough.
Thank you, Amanza. All right, so as I mentioned before, Amanza Walter Desir, a member of parliament, an attorney at law, quite okay with the laws as well. I did recognize Mr. Jeremy Figueroa, who, as well with Sherrod Duncan, was one of those persons who was being restrained by the police from gaining access on the road with a placard. Figgy, yes, Figgy, I recognize you. You held back, you restrained. Tell us your experience a few minutes ago.
It was shocking. I was flabbergasted that law enforcers who are to preserve the law, preventing a legislator from entering the parliament. What law would have committed for us to be prevented from going to the parliament to do our work? This is an expression of freedom of speech.
That's right.
And our constitution provides for us as elected officials, as citizens of this country, to have freedom of expression. And protest is a freedom of expression. We have legitimate reasons and concerns to picket this illegal administration. Hundreds of people would have lost their jobs. And we saw this as an opportunity to continue our message so that Guyana can be made aware that this act is unjust and we will not stand for it. So the police, like my colleague Amanza would have indicated, has to apologize for the elected officials of the National Assembly for being harassed, for being physically bullied and prevent it from going into the assembly to do its job. And we will continue to maintain that fraud would have been committed, and we will continue to speak in defense of our position and for all of the countless Guyanese who would have lost their job. Mr. Ali has a duty to engage the opposition. We represent the majority of the electorate in this country, and our voices must be heard.
All right, so before we just quickly just take a pan of this line here, this is just the line in front, the immediate entrance of the Arbitron Conference Center. And I did mention to you before that the lines or the barriers stretches all the way back several corners, that not even some residents who reside in close proximity of the Arbitron Conference Center are allowed to get into the building unless they can produce some sort of utility bill that indicate that they live in that space. And similarly, on that side, the same thing is happening here as well. Now, as well on the line, what's coming in with her placard happened to be Member of Parliament, Ms. And of course, I want to hear from her. The drums that you're hearing in the background is the ceremonial aspect of the Ghana Police Force for when Irfan Ali comes. But we'll speak to Ms. Catherine Hughes to get her take on what just transpired with, to her colleagues. Catherine.
This is really unacceptable. I want to remind citizens and the public that every person has a right to protest. We have chosen to do it in a different way today. We are not inside the hollowed walls of the parliament, disrupting as the PPP did on 2 occasions when David Granger was here speaking to the parliament. We have respect for the parliament. We've never had anyone from the AFC or the coalition throw a court order over their shoulder. We do not operate like that. And therefore, our basic constitutional right to stand up and protest quietly must be respected. There are thousands of people that have now lost their jobs. I want to tell the story of my former drivers, Danraj and Taylor, who I met when I came to the Ministry of Tourism in those days, who were actually employed by the ministry 4 years prior to me even getting into government. I came from the private sector. I met them there, and respectfully, I ensured that they maintained their jobs. These are drivers with children and a family. And I was horrified that at the end, or shall I say at the arrival of this new administration, Danraj and Taylor were fired unceremoniously. And why? Their only crime was that they were there serving a minister. And they continued in a job that they had long before they ever met me. That is the state of affairs in Guyana. We need to wake up. They're innocent people that are being sent home at a very difficult time throughout the world. This is COVID. Is it the time to send home a single parent, a mother who has children? The government should be working more on ensuring that every child has a tablet, every child has a device to learn, and every person has internet connectivity so our children can learn today. Thank you very much.
All right, so quickly, again, as I mentioned before, that was Ms. Catherine Hughes. She witnessed the barriers, her colleagues being manhandled by the police just for having a placard when they attempted to come into the National Assembly. We have as well too Mr. Aubrey C. Norton, who is no stranger to politics in Guyana, and of course he is the executive director in the office of the leader of the opposition. Mr. Norton, you witnessed, you saw what transpired today. Give us your take on all of this.
Well, first of all, it is clear the government plan to be ruling using force. If you look out here, you will see it's a police state. Policemen who should be enforcing law and order, dealing with crime, are forced to be out here to protect an illegitimate president. A man who knows no decency, a man who can't produce his certificates, his qualifications. Guyana is an unfortunate state at this stage. What is happening is that you're seeing attempting to dominate every facet of life. They are seeking to remove public servants who are there legitimately and put their cronies. What that means as well is that you will no longer have a public service that operates independently. It will be a public service that carries out PPP instructions and not focus on the development of the country. And so we are out here picketing because we recognize if this is not known and people don't stand up to it, it will get worse. Um, we have listened over the few days to Jack Dale talking garbage. We have listened to a lot of the ministers talking nonsense. But amidst all of that, the cost of living is going up. If anybody checked recently how prices rise, how prices move from all food items, you will see while they mismanage, the cost of living is going up. And while the cost of living is going up, they are getting rid of people and retrenching them and making them unemployed. Clearly, this government is illegal. It doesn't know what to do to govern fairly. It's a racist government, a government that doesn't understand that a large percentage of this population is of another ethnic group, and therefore they should learn to live and accommodate. They have been emasculating Afro-Guyanese in all sections of the society. The only place they seem to be comfortable with Afro-Guyanese is in the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Defense Force, where they hope to use them against the people of this country. But we know members of the police force, members of the Guyana Defense Force are sensible, and they should know that they are being used. They were promised bonus, and all they got is bogus. And so we are clear, we will continue to organize to ensure faces the consequences of its bad actions. This is just the beginning of a long process.
That's it. That's Mr. Norton.
Excellent. But you heard it there from Mr. Aubrey Norton. As I mentioned before, too, and a lot of the members of parliament spoke before, in terms of what transpired in the National Assembly a few years ago, when then President David Granger went to address the parliament. And right there amongst the then opposition members of parliament sat Irfan Ali himself, who was banging on the desk, shouting loudly and holding up a placard in the chambers of the National Assembly. So here it is now that, so to say, the shoes is on the other foot, and Irfan Ali is now directing the Ghana Police Force that the opposition members of parliament are not allowed to walk on the streets outside of the parliament with placards. We spoke about the creeping dictatorship. This is essentially what we have now. It is no longer creeping. Based on what you see out here today, the level of police checkpoint, the number of police enforcement, even a back of the conference center, there is about 2 buses, heavily armed police that are sitting on standby at the back there as well. And when we speak about the police state, this is what you're seeing now. The suppression of the voices of the people, and that is why the ABC EU countries need to take note. Because we said to them many times before, in terms of what was obtained under the PPP, and yet still you saw in those elections, it was these very diplomatic communities who lent support to the PPP. As a result of them, this is the result that we have here now. Guyanese are no longer allowed to picket. They are no longer allowed to express their legitimate discontent in terms of what is happening in the country. I want to quickly take you back to Shara Duncan. For those of you just joining the program, earlier today, outside of the barriers, Shara Duncan and a few other members of parliament, elected officials, attempted to come in front of the Artichon Conference Center with their placards, and they were restricted, physically assaulted by the police to restrict them from coming on the streets outside of the Artichon Conference Center with their placards. Mind you, the question was asked several occasions of the senior members of the police out here. What is the offense for an elected official to come out here with a placard? All we were told is that the space is a secure space. What does that mean? Does the placard or the markers pose a threat to life and limb? No answer. All that you cannot. So Shara Duncan, your experience again.
So I was attempting, as Chris said, to come past the barriers as a member of parliament. This is parliament happening behind us. I was assaulted by the police. I was manhandled. I was in fear for my life. unlawful force was being applied to my person as a member of parliament, I was in fear for my life, that my life can end at any given moment, given the superior firepower out here by the Ghana police force. I was frightened and traumatized by the experience as a sitting member of parliament. My hand is in pain right now. The officer was pulling me. My hand is in pain. I'm in agony, but I have to stand here with my colleagues in defense of the freedoms of every Guyanese. My hand in pain, my shoulders in pain. Because I had unlawful force applied to my person. I was assaulted. I feel battered. That's how I feel today as a member of parliament. Just coming into parliament, holding a placard. That is my high crime. That is my high crime. But fraud is fraud.
I want to ask you this here as well too, because we've seen many times before the propaganda page of the People's Progressive Party would start to take yourself, many other members of the opposition. We saw earlier today that there was a post made in which, amongst other things, it says that the information that the page received is that Sheriff Duncan has some device, and what that device is going to be used for if they are unaware.
Well, I brought my phone as a device. I don't have a phone. I got my car keys, another device has a remote on it. So I went into Parliament early on. My bags were checked. So I seem to pose no security risk. Taking a step when I left to join my colleagues on the outside and couldn't regain access to the location.
You've been in the hustings of this country for many years, and many Guyanese keep saying that we saw the best period in Guyana under the APNUFC. But in terms of people allowing their freedom of expressions and so forth, we saw in the parliament no less of a person than Irfan Ali himself. Banging on the desk, holding up a placard when
saying the speaker's bias.
Saying the speaker's bias when the then President David Gresham attempted to speak to the parliament. Now he is coming to address the parliament, and the police have all of these instructions. We said before that we are seeing a creeping dictatorship. How worried should the average Guyanese person be right now as a result of what we just seen this week?
Very, very worried, Chris, because this is like Animal Farm. We all are created equal, but some more equal than others. In the 5 years of David Gresham administration, you know the water cannon that was used. You know the tear gas canister was used. You know the rubber bullet that was used. But in 6 short months of this administration, ask the people at Success, not too far from here, all they were tear gas and shot at. And now they're assaulting me. I got me in fear for my life as a parliamentarian. That is where we are. That is where we are.
Worrying time indeed. Worrying time.
Very worrying time. Very.
All right, so we continue to monitor all things equal out here of the Artichoke Conference Center. I said again, if the camera can pan over that way, you could see just one of the barriers there with heavy police presence, and you have some Guyanese with some placards who are there. Now, these barriers, they extend approximately 4 corners out, all the way to the corner that would lead you into Sapphire. Is that no one is allowed to even get access there. And the same is obtained on that side of the... We've never seen this level of security. Not even at the Venezuelan border, that some would say. You don't even see this level of security present, not even at the Venezuela border. But you see it here outside of the Artichoke Conference Center. A clear case of the creeping dictatorship that is now walking. You gotta go over this
world leader that get this kind of security presence is King Jong-un. The only other world leader. So that's what happening here.
You want attention.
Right, so just of the way you see here, Fanali is making his way down this side, and of course we are waiting him here.
Going mountain guards as well, the mountain police, traffic police, and a whole set of pomp and ceremony. The fraud president is coming. The fraud president is coming with he's trying to mimic David Granger, but he can't do it. So he's coming with Mountain Branch and even Burnham. He's trying to mimic Burnham as well. He's coming up there with mountain police on horses, in their ceremonial uniform, outriders, all of them there. But of course, the world knows that Irfan Ali is a de facto president. He is the illegitimate president. He is a fraud president. He was installed into that office. They have stolen the elections, stolen our votes, and stolen our democracy. And that's what we're having there. So we're going to wait for him to pass this way to protest that as well. So he's coming up the road there. We're going to wait on him to pass. There he is. And you've got a plot there.
Fraud is fraud! Fraud is fraud! Fraud is fraud!
There we pass, right there.
Illegal is illegal! Fraud is fraud! Fraud is fraud! Justice for the angry boys! Stop discriminating against people!
You know.
Fraud is fraud!
You know.
Fraud is fraud!
I want trouble for you.
Fraud is fraud!
So he.
Fraud is fraud!
So they came with Mountain Branch, expecting something to happen.
Fraud is fraud!
You gotta learn it, because we have a right to protest.
Fraud is fraud! Fraud is fraud!
All right, Mr. Department, can be locked out.
Why?
Please.
Is a weapon?
All right. Fraud is fraud!
Fraud is fraud!
Fraud is fraud!
We be locked out! Members of Parliament! Members of Parliament get locked out!
Fraud is fraud!
Members of Parliament get locked out!
Fraud is fraud!
We get locked out! We get locked out!
Fraud is fraud!
The opposition get locked out! We get locked out! We get locked out! So this is the other part here now. Sure. So we get here now. The members of Parliament. The members of Parliament are being locked out.
Fraud is fraud. You got special gates and special people. You are the gate man. You got the gate first. On them.
How the anthem is being played and the officer gets swinging wrong and wrong. Put your head one place, officer.
You got no respect. Then he's telling me that I have respect.
Officer, look this side, in front of you.
They went to school with your policy. No child FBI.
No, don't do that. Don't worry.
Fraud is fraud. Fraud is fraud. Come on, son. Members of Parliament want to come inside.
Which side is
Members of Parliament want to come inside.
Open the gate, let the parliamentarians come
Why,
in.
man? Why?
Halloween, one family. So this is a sad case is that the MPs are being prevented from entering the Parliament of Guyana on a day in which the Parliament is in session.
Yeah.
As you can see, all these here
After
are
assaulted, I'm now
members
locked out.
of Parliament.
Locked
All
out
of
of
the
the
members of
Parliament of
Parliament.
Guyana.
And
That's where he
they
comes
are being locked out of the Parliament of Guyana. Not allowed to get in.
Permission? And then there's a Parliament come in?
The instructions from the police is that essentially they have to get permission to allow the Parliament.
You know this, brother.
This is indeed a sad day. This is indeed a sad day in the history of Guyana. Never before in Guyana's history that sitting members of Parliament, elected officials who represent over 200,000 Guyanese have been locked out from entering the Parliament of Guyana. As you can see, the MPs are attempting to get inside. And they are being restricted. They are being restricted from going into the Parliament of Guyana. This is the scene here right now. This is the scene here now. Members of Parliament identified themselves. They presented their identification badges, and they are not being allowed to enter. This is the only way now. So we have to incentivize. What is this? What is this? What is this? This is an MP. You have immunity. You have immunity. You can't do that. You can't enter Parliament. You can't enter Parliament. The police has just physically assaulted a member of Parliament from entering Parliament. The police has just physically assaulted a member of Parliament from entering Parliament. Look at this. Look at this. Physically assaulted. Physically assault.
Wow. Oh, wow. This is very hard.
Locked out.
Wow. But people
So this is the scene here that we got it right now. The APNU AFC members of Parliament has just been, again for the second occasion, physically assaulted by the police.
What a day! What a day! The emperor has arrived in Parliament. So the common man.
Joe, you can't stop.
Guilty by association.
Don't open the gate.
Why is he not being
Don't open the gate.
Why is he not being? These are members of Parliament, and you are restricting members of Parliament from entering Parliament on the day of Parliament
Without a placard.
without a placard, without any weapon. What is this?
Wow.
This is a democracy.
Yo.
What sort of democracy is this?
Wickedness!
What sort of democracy is this? The members of Parliament are being locked out of Parliament.
Hypocrite. Hypocrite.
Guyana is a rogue state. This is a rogue state. This is a police state. This is a police state.
Wicked!
We no longer got democracy in this country. This is a police state. You got members of Parliament, and you are preventing them from entering the Parliament.
Be tearing them because no shame on you.
What is this?
Wicked PPP! Why we not allowed people to
parliament?
You're not allowed the opposition to send the parliament, Mr. Take the badge number. 1926.
Oh. Yeah. So we're not going in. We're not.
We will not listen to a fraudulent president.
If it is not
we can't come into y'all, maybe we can't come out. We can't come Parliament cannot come into the member of the parliament.
I want this young man hold me.
MPs can't go into parliament, please.
No,
that is democracy. That's the people's president. And MPs can't go into parliament.
Parliament
change.
Y'all can't go.
Exactly.
Yeah, we done. Listen up. The gate has to be open. The MPs have to come out. We have made it very clear,
yes, sir,
that this is our right as MPs, and they've been prevented by Irfan Ali and his regime from our MPs going in there. So don't break should be when we decide we're not coming at all.
Exactly.
When we decide we're not coming at all, I trust that the world is seeing what is taking place here today.
Right.
We decided we are going to go in there, and they've prevented members of parliament from going there, manhandling them, assaulting them, and look at the MPs stand.
Your mother said I was there.
So I am asking all of Guyana to recognize that what is taking place here, that all of the policemen that should be looking after crime, looking after drug run-ins, looking after going to the border with Venezuela and so on, they're all here. So right now, we feel insecure. Your homes and everything can be burgled because there's no police to answer. All of them are here just listening to Irfan Ali. So I want to say that our MPs have stood their ground. We have been prevented from going to exercise our right under the Constitution, and this is a matter that we will take further. We'll take it further than this. We'll take it further.
You should note as well that the government is using specific policemen who have been accused of all kinds of things. And so you know, I don't be specific, but generally it is the corrupt in the police force that they use. So we need to be clear. This is not a place of integrity. This is a place where you bring people who are corrupt, who avoided all the laws and using them against ordinary people. I recommend to them that they carry them to deal with the syndicatos coming over and affecting our people. Let them go to the Ghana-Venezuela border rather than fighting with citizens who are unarmed. They come with a set of armory, bulletproof. No placard could kill you. So we believe they are wasting time and they're focusing on the wrong
These dignified men and women in black and blue, they are following instructions. They have to do what they're instructed to do. We have no issues with these men and women in blue and black.
They are dignified men and women in our country, and they're serving our country. But we are disturbed by the fact that they have to follow, unfortunately, political instructions coming from Robertson Ben, no less a person than Robertson Ben. And they are talking about dignified ways of how you should behave. And Priya Manikchan just cursed me out inside there. Just cursed me out. And keep coming in front of me. She keeps coming in front of me. I have to raise up my hands. I don't want her to ever say I touched her.
What did she say to you?
She cursed me. I don't want to use the word, but she cursed me.
She used colorful words.
Colorful words, if that is the right way of putting it. She cursed me. She said I must not touch her, but she used that adjective to describe the touch. And I just raised up my hand because she keep coming to me. She keep coming towards me. But the thing is, we as members of parliament, we know that the parliament is a sacred house, but we don't want to be in there to listen to no fraudulent president. And I am so sorry that we can't even come outside. Look at this. What is this? We can't even come outside. We can't go outside. What kind of democracy is this? This is a creeping dictatorship. And I think it has reached the full dictatorship. It is full dictatorship now. Wow. Imagine an MP, a member of parliament, can't walk by, can't go here, and blocked by this gate. Wow. I can't go and you and MPs can't come in. This is what you call full dictatorship. At no time, David Granger and his 5-year government had this kind of behavior. David Granger was in the National Assembly in 2017, and they sat there, they raised placards, they used derogatory words, and he was a sitting president. And now look at this, we can't even walk freely. And they had democracy. And this is
Tell Sarah Lynch to take note. It's because you know the reg. Sarah Lynch, take note. It's because you know the reg.
The right, the police have a responsibility to protect and serve.
Lawmakers are not allowed to go.
The police are unlawfully detaining us. We are being held against our will.
I want to come out. I don't want to go in anymore.
Oh my God. And the
Officer, you're the first in charge here? You're the first. Why can't MPs leave?
I'm still very traumatized. My lower back is hurting right to my shoulder. No, I kept calling my cat all the time. So my hands could have been seen leave the shoot to my hand. I was reaching for some weapon. Because they've already said on Facebook, I have some device on me. But I got my phone and my car keys. I was very assaulted. And I'm very much in fear of my life as a parliamentarian. And now I'm being prevented from entering the National Assembly. That's where we are. How can we go on in this walking dictatorship?
I don't know what is this boyfriend's name.
What's the
I want to get very close to him.
Yeah.
Get very close to this young man here.
Oh my God.
I want to engage him as
Mark the day democracy died.
As a community worker.
That's the day democracy died.
I want to engage this young man.
The day democracy died in Guyana.
Yeah.
Let's pray for him. Let's pray for him. He needs prayer.
We will take a full range of action. A full range. It can be legal, be political, and otherwise, but from the whole continuum of action which has to be taken, we will take those actions. We are members of parliament. We are representatives of the people. If Penali only represents 33 seats, we have 32 in there. Our difference is 1 seat between the government and the opposition. How could he behave as if he has 100%? And that we are equal to 0.
Was any reason proffered as to why you're being prevented from entering, or those inside coming
No,
out?
they love the gate.
No reason offered?
Nothing whatsoever. They love the gate. And this is not going to go that well, I can promise you that. This level is not going to go that well. And all these policemen and women who are carrying out those instructions, they've actually prevent MPs from coming out who want to leave. Some people got medication in the vehicle that are going for it. They can't get it out. If somebody fall in there and collapse, it is on their feet and the hands away from Ali. It's feet and the hands away from Ali. MPs have been damaged, they closed doors, all kinds of things here this afternoon. This is the democracy that we have. This is the dictatorship I've spoken about. It has arrived. And they're back here to the seat where the fraud and all the irregularity were discovered and recovered. And it's that fraud on which they sit. That is why they're so uncomfortable. That is why they want to come here with all the thousands of police and soldiers. Yes, could you say at least one? Well, this is one that we bring here. This is an exercise of our democratic right to protest. This is one. I will not basically speak to all of those range of things we will do, but you will see them emerging as we take those steps of those actions. You will see them emerging.
I will not go to another one and coming out from the gate.
You just second on your hand.
Oh, they just following instruction, man. This is my friend, he would not do me that.
Y'all as police know you have a better resources, better salaries, and everything.
They know wrong.
The only thing you have to under this government is for harassing the same people. So y'all don't get this. Feel next week. We know what's the reality. But we still have work.
I have been asking for almost 20 minutes or more for the gate to be open for me to leave this compound. It is unacceptable at this point. This is the level of dictatorship that we have within this country right now. When the armed forces are being used to detain the parliamentarians, this is what is going on. When the people of Guyana react, people will know why. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue.
I agree this, but they saw they had that fight.
Can you see the how we look here?
Yes.
Yes, so we can have the party here. Thank you, sir.
What's the difference between
So this is the altitude that's typical Patterson Square.
I guess in the split of the moment, it's not what he intended to do, but in the split of the moment, you know, he got very aggressive. And he has acknowledged that, you know, he wasn't supposed to be that aggressive, but I guess in the split of the moment, his aggression rose. But I'm saying it's a sad day for us. When parliamentarians could be locked out of parliament, it's a sad day. When policemen could harass parliamentarians, it's a sad day. It's a very sad day.
When we don't come back to the budget debate tomorrow, and when we don't come to support what they're doing, it's a whole different story. The lucky of today,
That's what's happening. It's still complete lockdown here at the entrance of Parliament. The officers are not allowing persons to go in. Going out, come out.
Lima, you get hand sanitizer.
So they lock both gates. You can't go in, no, you cannot come out. Uh, trust that most of you looking at these footage across the world would know that Guyana has gone into a full dictator mood. It's full dictator mood right now. So we bring to you these live footage here in front of National Anti-Trump Conference Center right now. The same place where the fraud was uncovered. And I am so shocked at this developments here this afternoon. Spread the word far and wide. Guyana is in a dictatorship.
Yes.
Miss Annette Ferguson?
Yes, Mr. Wicks.
Full dictatorship.
Full dictatorship. We were all, myself and colleagues, we were all locked out from entering the National Assembly to hear what this goodly Efrad has to say. Then my colleagues on the inside, they too were locked out from coming out. Is this a democratic country? I don't think so.
Or even worse.
I don't think so. This is not a democratic country. This is clear dictatorship. Are we going back to pre-May 2015? Guyanese, best wake up. The time has come for us to open up our eyes to see where our country is heading. That's all I want to say for now.
MP Philadelphia, your thoughts?
You know, just to add to what MP Ferguson would have said, while we were barred from going in and those on the inside were locked in as if they're prisoners, even worse, Member of Parliament Patterson decided that, look, I'm going to scale the fence. And he was held like a prisoner, tore his clothes and all of that. Is that the way we treat elected officials in this country? We were elected to serve the people of Guyana. And if that's the way we are treated by those who are being paid to protect and serve where we are going, they need to go to the borders and deal with it in the ghetto. They need to ensure that our fisher folks are safe on the waterways. They need to ensure that burglary come back to the place that it was under David Granger administration and so many other things. That is what they need to do.
And what else they need to do is to ensure that our public servants get a public salary increase, which they denied in 2020. You understand me? And find jobs for the many thousands that they have currently on the breadline. That is
20 women from Region 10. Members of the St. Ambulance Brigade, they dismiss those people. They have family to take care of, children to send to school, mortgage to pay and all of that. That is how we say we care about our Guyanese people. That is how we say we care about our Guyanese people. Over 300 persons working on the SIP in Region 10, they were all dismissed without any word to say why and when they will be given job again. Is that the way we say we're going to provide job for the citizens? Is that the way the president say he's going to treat and take care of all Guyanese? No, man, something is definitely wrong.
That is why, Maureen, the time is now. It's for Guyanese, right thinking Guyanese to wake up whichever political divide you're on. You're seeing all these atrocities from since August 2nd, 2020. Look at the Ghana police force. The Ghana police force under the partnership for national youth and the rights to change was a well professionalized institution. We did not give political instructions, but today we saw clearly that the actions taken by many of the officers here on the ground were politically motivated, and we have to stand against it. We have to stand against it. Look, Bengali cannot exist. When we look people up in a place that they can't come out.
Dr. Henry.
Why am I being restrained?
Imagine you can't get to drive
I
out.
cannot get to leave. I
And
would like
that's
to
all
leave.
you
I
want to
cannot
do, leave the compound.
I need the woman needs to go take her medication.
There's no sense in that.
They're forcing you, they want you to go and listen to the fraudulent president.
Why are they keeping me in a space I don't want to be at this point in time? Now, I remember officers, y'all come from a community. We all come from communities.
Nicholas park the vehicle and left you and move away with your keys. And I'm gonna bring you in a park over the other side. Let me see how the president will come
Oh, yes.
Is it look like a snake? Snatching there, some felt it. We look like a snake. It look like a snake.
Follow me. There's always a first with the PPP. The PPP, they're always first with everything first with them. PPP. The fraudulent 3P.
And the thing is, we were invited here.
Yes, we were invited.
We were invited here. Prevented from going in or come out.
Let me get up my order paper to show I was invited to be here today.
Yes, MP Philadelphia. Do just that. Let them know.
Oh.
Speaker? Yeah. Nicolette stand up at the back. Where is she? Nicolette gone for the fight. Nicolette stand at the back there.
Locked in and locked out. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Guyanese. I'm here locked out from the National Assembly. I received an order paper indicating that I am to be there. I was there for the morning session, but I came out to lend support to our supporters, and this is what we are seeing here. This has never happened in the cooperative republic, and we are asking the international community, take a note. 2015 to 2020, we have never had a situation like this. Member of Parliament who are elected by the citizens of this country or locked out of the National Assembly. This is a new dispensation of politics in Guyana. This is a new dispensation of leadership. Well, it is not leadership. It is a set of people just put there to do their own thing. We are calling on Guyanese to take note, spread this message wide and far, that elected members, elected members who are elected by the cooperative, who are elected by voters to be here to represent their cause, are locked out from the National Assembly. And we have people who are not elected taking frontline benches there right now.
We need Sharon Das Passad. Yes, and the others. Just another comment that is, cannot get out.
That's the former Minister of Education, Dr. Nicolette Henry. Cannot come out. Her car is parked right here.
MP Henry.
She cannot come out. She's very, very angry right now. Very angry. She needs to come and tell us exactly about her anger. What? You see that? She's talking with the officers. She's talking with the officers. Well, I think if they
Sarikam needs to listen to this. Sarikam needs to see this.
maybe you need to lock Ali in.
Where is Mr. MP Henry? Where is my Motley? Where is Ralph Gonzalez?
Exactly.
These were the key players in our March, after March 2nd, 2020 elections. Where are they? Add your voices.
Look, this is the invitation. This is our invitation.
MP Henry.
Look
our invitation here.
I need to leave here.
Yeah, there's a
I want to leave. That's it. There's nothing else for me to say. I need to leave. I want to leave.
Nicolette.
No, yes. I'm good, but I need to leave here. I don't want why just lock me in a place. I can't leave because somebody decided I must not leave. What nonsense is that?
That is holding you against your own will.
Is that the point?
Nicholas, if I were you, when he coming out,
you block the
you
place.
block the gate for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Blackie.
So this is the situation that we have currently. So as you can see, the members of parliament in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, on a day that the parliament is being convened, has been locked outside of the parliament. As well, there were some of our colleagues who were inside of the parliament. They are now locked in the parliament compound, and they're being prevented by the Guyana Police Force. Now, I remind you that in the Constitution, it speaks specifically that members of parliament are immune on the grounds in and around the compound of the parliament, and they are immune from any civil arrests by the police. That is enshrined in the Constitution of Guyana. But here it is now that members of parliament have been locked out of the parliament, and members of parliament have been locked inside of the parliament compound, and the police refuse to allow those out or to allow those in. We have senior members who as well have their own health condition. Case in point, Member of Parliament Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams is one of those persons who have an underlying condition, and since she came out of the parliament, she has been standing out here for probably about half of an hour now, and she's been deprived of getting access to her vehicle in which she has her medication inside. And this was brought to the attention of the police, and yet still Ms. Dawn Hastings and several other members of parliament are still being detained inside of the compound. So I think we can safely use the word being detained, because once it is the police that is preventing you from, therefore you are being detained. So members of parliament in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana are being detained by the Guyana Police Force inside of the compound of the parliament. Meanwhile, members of parliament of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana are being restricted from entering the compound of the parliament when a parliament is in session.
Representative on the inside.
Yeah, we need to go to
CARICOM. Parliamentarians
go to
on the
protest
outside.
CARICOM.
Guyanese parliamentarians being denied access to parliament. The American ambassador in the parliament. The EU ambassador, Mr. Canto, he in parliament. The British High Commissioner, he in parliament. And Guyanese member of parliament on the outside, fighting in. But we'll continue to fight for democracy, true democracy in this country.
I want to quickly bring to your attention. We don't know if it could be told as profiling as such. But I spoke to you about several members of parliament who have been detained by the police inside of the compound of the parliament chambers. Meanwhile, one of our members of parliament was allowed to exit the compound of the parliament, and that happens to be Member of Parliament Danishwar Jai Prashad, who is represented from Region 6. Now, he was allowed to exit the compound without any restraint from the police. Meanwhile, the other members of parliament have been detained inside. I don't know by chance, Jai Prashad, if we can say was profiling because of the way you look. That the police
could be. Right? So I was inside protesting with my colleagues, and I came out here and I asked the security that I need to get out, and I was given the opportunity to exit.
Without any question,
without any question.
No question.
No question be that. Meanwhile, if the camera could just pan right over there, you'll see Member of Parliament, former Minister of Education, Ms. Dr. Nicolette Henry, and her vehicle at the gate prevented from leaving. You have Member of Parliament, Mr. Richard Sinclair, representing region number 8, and just gone off to the side there, that is Mr. Vincent Henry, representing region number 9. They have been detained by the police inside of the compound of the parliament, and I just brought to your attention, we don't know if it's stereotyping, but I just showed you that Member of Parliament Danish Jai Prashad was just allowed to exit. We go over this way. All right, so if we so
in the compound of parliament. Something is terribly wrong. Mr. Vincent, you've been locked out against or locked in, I should say, out against your will. What do you want to say to the public?
I would like to say, as an indigenous member of parliament, that I have been locked in the parliamentary compound. Freedom for the indigenous people of last. And there's much more to go through. Freedom for the indigenous people. Imagine we were locked in the compound against our will.
Welcome to freedom. After we met with the Venezuelans,
tell the people how you feel now that you are being left out of this.
It is almost an hour since we've been standing there through the sun and rain, asking to be let out. We specifically said we're being held against our will. There's no reason for you to tell me I can't come out of a compound. This is what the PPP represents. This is the level of dictatorship that they command.
Yes.
They are utilizing the armed forces. I don't blame any of these officers here. They are working on instructions. These officers would know, each and every one of them here, that never once did a coalition instruct them to detain any member of parliament, to lock them within the compound, or to refuse them entry to the compound. But this is the nature of the PPP. This is who the people, these people do not care about rules and laws. No one poses any threat to any one of them, because that is the narrative that they will want to peddle. I can tell you that. The placards that persons have holding up here right now cannot threaten them over and over, air finale, and everyone from within the PPP, over and over. They had repeatedly protested David Granger. They were allowed to do so because that is democracy. That is what democracy represents. You cannot be upset because someone is talking against you. It is utter nonsense. It's dictatorship, Andrew. The coalition made a decision, and one guy needs people to notice. We refuse to go within the halls, within the Honorable House, to shout and scream like the PPP did when Mr. Granger addressed the House. We will not do that, but we are exercising our right. We represent half of the Guyanese population. We represent half the Guyanese population. When we stand here, we don't stand here. I don't stand here to represent myself. I stand here representing over 200,000 Guyanese. And mark my word, Andrew, the PPP don't have 5 years in office. They started it.
Thank you. All right, folks. Thank you.
All right.
Believe it?
No, we have no time. We're not disorderly. We're not running all those police. We are only if we want the force come out. That's right. We don't want to rush it there. We don't want to go in there where he is. And I don't know why they bring hundreds of policemen here for. We are not unruly people. We are decent, democratic Guyanese representing our Guyana. We don't want to go there to this. We're not hooligans.
Remember Parliament. We're not like them.
We're not like
you see, they believe that we are like them in terms of what they did when President Granger came to the Parliament, and Irfan Ali himself was one who was very voracious, vociferous there, holding placards inside of the Parliament. So they believe we are like them, and that's what they expect. We're not like that. We're not hooligans like them.
Yeah, exactly. And the point is that the Irfan Ali is the one who disrupt the parliament, and we have that on record, and we're gonna play it all the time. And now you want us to have peace and quiet. Let them have the quietness.
They don't speak themselves.
Yeah, let's speak themselves. The Guyanese people need to know. The Guyanese people need to take note of what is happening here today. We have had President Granger 2015 to 2020, and at no time we have ever had a situation like this. President Granger was a true leader and not a dictator. He never put and prevent member of parliament to be in the house. He always allowed the opportunity for all member of parliament to air their views and demonstrate whenever it is appropriate. So we need people to take note of this. We need the international community to step in. Where is CARICOM?
Right over there.
CARICOM is right over there. Are they taking note?
Mr. Harman, in closing, sir, where do we go from here? Well, this is not in closing, because this is a continuum. This kind of aggressive attitude on our part will continue, because what we are seeing, these are all of the signs of a dictatorship. It's no longer creeping, it is here. And as the people, we are interested in a democratic society. We will have to stand firmly against this dictatorship that is the PPP, and that is represented in our house by the interlopers in government. All right, thank you, sir. Chris. And so here is the full. Yes, Chris, you're here. Have you wrap up?
Right. So it's now 2:30.
Yeah, 2:30.
All right. So of course this was an extended lunch break program, and of course we started about 12:30 today. We brought you exclusively what is happening outside of the National Assembly. You saw all of the unfoldings at 5 o'clock this afternoon on the afternoon rush. My colleague Randall Perchilo is going to pick it up from there, and of course 8 o'clock this evening in the ring with Sherrod Duncan, and we're going to continue to chronicle what transpired here today outside of the National Assembly in Guyana. As adumbrated by several members of Parliament, today is indeed a sad and dark day in the history of Guyana as it relates to democracy. The Parliament in any country, the National Assembly in any country, is the highest decision-making forum. And of course, they are those elected officials to represent the people. Here today, at a duly constituted sitting of the National Assembly, the opposition members of Parliament, inclusive of the leader of the opposition, were all barred, locked out from entering the Parliament of Guyana. And then there were those members of Parliament who were inside of the chambers since 10 o'clock this morning to participate in the session. And those members of Parliament have been detained inside of the compound by the Ghana police force, which is a contravention to the constitution, which speaks to members of parliament having immunity on the grounds and the immediate surrounding of the parliament. We saw members of parliament coming into these precincts with a placard, staying on the roadside, and they were prevented from doing so and only told that it is a secure area. So the question was asked of the police, if it's a secure area, what threat does a placard pose to the life and limb of anyone? And that answer could not have been given.
And some of us are still trying to get inside to get our vehicles and so on. So while you're allowing a couple folks to come out, you still can't get inside, even as a parliamentarian.
Exactly.
There's a member of the public as a parliamentarian. You can't go in the parking lot.
And mind you, you have a party of police, no less than about 600 plus policemen that are in the compound, that are on the side, and preventing one lone single member parliament from entering the compound of the parliament to retrieve his vehicle. As we said before, it is a dark day for democracy in Guyana. And this is what we spoke about at length before, warning all and sundry in terms of what obtains under the People's Progressive Party Civic. This is nothing new in terms of the police being politically directed by the administration. And we've seen that today. And it is so sad that the officers could not provide the answer, but they had to do the bidding, unfortunately for them. So they too were put in a difficult situation or position in which they know that what they were instructed to do is in breach and in clear violation of the laws and the constitution of this country. But they had to carry those instructions out. That is what is obtained in this country. As we said before, today, the 11th day of February, Thursday, 2021, is a dark day for democracy in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Some are saying essentially that we have just seen the death of democracy in this country.
When parliamentarians can enter parliament.
Exactly. You date as far back as when Ghana obtained independence. And you had members of parliament. You've had former President Chedi Jagan throwing down the maize. You've had a member of parliament who flung a glass of water to the speaker and all of that inside of the parliament. Just 3 years ago, you had no less of a person than Irfan Ali himself in parliament, shouting, screaming, and slamming down at the table when President David Granger was addressing the parliament. All of them were allowed to remain in the chambers of the parliament with placards, and they shout and scream for the entire duration of the presentation that was made by President David Granger. Here it is now that illegal, fraudulent Irfan Ali is coming to address the same parliament in which he was the chief cook and bottle wash during those times. And he has instructed the police to detain, prevent, obstruct the elected officials, the members of parliament, from entering the corridors of the National Assembly.
Want people to see that he here die running. It's a scam.
Exactly.
And this afternoon proved that. It's a scam. You understand me? And thief man don't want to see when a thief, and that's why they lock up inside and parliamentarians can't go. It's a scam. It's a scam. And we're gonna let the whole world know.
Exactly. So
democracy died today.
Democracy in Guyana died today. We warned all and sundry about it. We saw Sarah Lynch enter the chambers and she was part of it. But in fact, as of yesterday, you could have referred to them as a creeping dictatorship. After what was demonstrated today, Guyana is now living in a dictatorship. Welcome to the new North Korea. Welcome. You have to exactly. You have to refer to Irfan Ali as Kim Jong Irfan Ali now, because Ghana has lost. Democracy has died in Guyana today, and we warned other persons when we had the People's Parliament that we recognize you can't go to the Ghana police force for redress because they're politically directed. You can't go to the courts to seek redress because the rulings there says otherwise. And just recently, we had the incident inside of the parliament in which motions that were brought questions that were asked by the opposition are being turned down,
Yeah.
and opposition members are even being denied from speaking in the parliament. All legitimate avenues in which you can voice those dissatisfaction. And here it is again today. Today is what you could call the nail in the coffin, the final nail in the coffin, because we are trying to get into Parliament to represent the over 200,000 people that voted for us. This is not Christopher Jones or Sherrod Dunker or Annette Ferguson walking into the Parliament on their own. We are representing people of Guyana. And today, the PPP, Irfan Ali, King John Irfan Ali, has instructed the police not to allow the members of Parliament to enter the chambers and restricted those who are inside. Democracy in Guyana has died today. The PPP is back spot. You must take note.
That's it, folks.
That's it.
So join my colleague Randolph Critchlow at 5 o'clock. We will continue the discourse. 8 o'clock tonight, Sherrod Dunker will be inside the ring. Outside of the National Assembly, my name is Christopher Jones. Thank you for viewing an extended edition of Lunch Break. Goodbye for now.